probably 4 or 5 games, give or take, on Sunday. So yeah, it should be good stuff. They play for Upstate Lacrosse, or Upstate Carolina Lacrosse, UC Lacrosse, Upstate Carolina Lacrosse. Coach Sean Buff runs the thing, and they do a stellar job. So if you have any kids that play lacrosse and they're of middle school, high school age, definitely hit me up, and I'll hook you up with Coach Sean because he's got a awesome program. The only downside is in Spartanburg, so it's a solid hour from us to get there, but definitely worth the drive to get there. So, anyways, I don't have a drum roll. I wish I had a drum. I'd do a drum roll, but I'm just going to ask a question, and let's see what shows up. That one actually I wrote down. I don't even like that one. That's a terrible one. That was fun. All right, question. Does dreaming relate to brain health and the subconscious? Interesting. It's a good question. So, I'm not really well versed with dreaming, but I feel like your brain is always trying to process things and trying to create a state of balance in you whenever possible. So I definitely think, and I'm not sure how it relates, but I guarantee you dreaming relates to brain health. And I think, depending on the school of thought that you subscribe to when it comes to the subconscious, I feel like the brain is trying to express things in the subconscious during dreaming. And I think in doing that, I think it's probably a very healthy way that your brain clears things, or that your subconscious clears things. So I think there's a big relationship between dreaming and brain health and the subconscious too. So there you go. Whoever that was, now you have it. This is written by a kid. It says, how does it help us feel better? So I think she's asking, or he's asking, how does chiropractic make us feel better? And it's probably one of the main things people experience with chiropractic care is we do feel better. How it does it? Well, it does it on a couple different layers. One, when we balance the brain function and we move the body from a stressed state to a state of less stress, or a state of more ease, that's ultimately going to make us feel better. Maybe not right away, but that moving into a less stressed neurological state invariably will help the muscles be more relaxed, the joints to be more movable, less tension in the entire system. So absolutely, that's going to help someone feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, just by moving away from a stressed nervous system state. The other part of that story too is when we're talking about stuck joints, because that's what happens when there's a stressed state. The other thing that happens is the bones just don't move like they should, and it creates tension and fixation and spasm at a joint, on a joint level as well. When we release that, whether using the instrument or using my hands, when that fixation gets freed up and proper joint motion is restored, that's going to feel better too most of the time. So it helps us feel better on a lot of different layers in a lot of different ways. Hope that helps. So, completely random. All right, so somebody wrote, this is a good one. Brain fog, hormones, and then hormones and weight. So I think the question is, how does chiropractic relate to and help brain fog, hormones, and then hormones and weight? Well, the first one, brain fog, it's one of the main things I notice as a chiropractic patient. When I get adjusted, I no doubt think more clearly. That's probably, for me, the most dramatic thing I see when I get adjusted is less brain fog. It's been a week or so since I've been adjusted, so I will be much sharper tomorrow when I go get adjusted. Hoping to go see my buddy Stu downtown Greenville. before we head out of town. Or I might see my buddy Greg Brown on our way out of town. They're good chaps. They're good. They're awesome chiropractors. So yeah, so when you move, it's the same story as before. It's when you move from a stressed state to a less stressed state, neurologically speaking, your brain's just going to function better. So ultimately, that's why it helps with brain fog. And that's why chiropractic helps with hormones, because when we move to a less stressed state, out of sympathetic, more into parasympathetic, everything in the body is going to work better. So your hormones, which are the little chemical factories all throughout your body, when we have proper neurology to every part of your body, the hormones are going to work better. Now, this isn't a treatment for hormone problems. This isn't a weight loss thing either, because I know this question asked hormones and weight. But when we balance the body, hormones are going to be more balanced. It's just how it works. A better functioning body is going to work better. Period. So, there's that one. Let's do a few more. Oh, good question here. Is there a particular job or type of work that tends to put their chiropractic health at greater risk? So, the short answer is yes and no. I think every activity we do repetitively, no matter how strenuous or how seemingly easy, anything that we do repetitively is going to cause stress on our body. So there's that. Is there a particular type of job? I would imagine I've got a guy who comes in, and his job, they install, I want to say, sprinkler systems. So he's up probably on a scaffold in the air with his hands above, like working like this all day. I mean, that's obviously going to put pressure on the upper back and neck. Conversely, if you have a person who's sitting at a computer and I'll demonstrate, and their posture is like this all day long, that's not good either. So I think just living life puts a person's health at chiropractic risk, the chiropractic health at risk. That's why I recommend getting weekly care, because we go about a week and I think our body needs to get adjusted. That's just what I've seen from doing this for 30 years or 25 years or however long it's been, 25 years, whatever. So I guess my answer is no, there's not a particular job or type of work that affects us more than others. I think they all affect us in different ways. And just because we're alive and we live life and we have stress, that means we need regular chiropractic care. All right. So let's go. Well, this is one. This question is, why are dad jokes not funny? Well, that's a completely ridiculous question, because dad jokes are funny, especially when I tell them. Next question. Interesting one. I remember getting this question. Can facial asymmetry be corrected or improved? And the interesting thing, when the lady asked me this question, I looked at her and I'm like, you don't have any facial asymmetry. It can. There's a specific technique called craniofacial release that I had done to me once, and it's pretty wild. Specifically, that technique could make massive changes. There's not many people around that do it. There's one, maybe like in Hendersonville or Asheville. That's the closest one that does it. And I've seen pre and post pictures of, like, here's the person before, and massive shifts to the cranial vault with that. And I would imagine craniosacral therapy, like my friend Mariah Woody does down in Greenville, I imagine that would be helpful too, or potentially, or even the people at Chrysalis that do like orofacial work. I think all that can affect facial asymmetry. But here's what this question made me think of. Let me see if I can find it. If I can get to it quickly. Yeah, this. So the answer to this question is in this book. It's probably one of the top 5 books that I've read. It's about time that I read it again. As you look, I mean, I've literally got page after page marked up. It's by this Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And what psychocybernetics talks about is the self-image. And he tells the story of when he was a young plastic surgeon, and one of his first patients, or a patient early in his practice, she came in, got plastic surgery, and he really said, he's like, I made her look totally different, and no asymmetries, no, I took her and gave her a quote unquote beautiful face or a perfect face, and she came in the next week complaining that he didn't do a thing for her. And what Dr. Maltz noticed is that it wasn't so much that she needed plastic surgery, she needed self-image surgery. Because people that have their self-image change the way they look at themselves. So it's an amazing book. I highly recommend. Psychocybernetics is, I think, one of the greatest books ever written. And I have read it numerous times, and I'm going to have to read it again here soon. There's a whole course out there. This guy, Matt Fury, who bought the Psychocybernetics business, he's got a great course that Dr. Maltz did from back in probably the 60s and 70s. It's great stuff. So if you're interested, I would definitely explore Psychocybernetics. It's also a program called Theater of the Mind, which I've done that. I'd like to listen to that again. So anyways, it's not so much the question of whether facial asymmetry can be corrected or improved. It can, but the real reality is, can you change the self-image and change how you look at yourself, so you look at yourself with kinder eyes, as Maxwell Maltz used to say. If you can look at yourself with kinder eyes, then the facial asymmetry ceases to be a problem. Because the reality is, like, most people don't notice it. You notice it in yourself, and I notice it in myself with my self-image. Like, the better your self-image is, the less you care about what other people think. So, all right, let's do one more, because I got to start seeing some patients here in a little bit. So, I want to find a good one. Yeah, this is a cool one. This is a cool one. All right. So I got a few more left. So we'll be doing another one of these in another month or so or whatever. So this is a great question. What is the oddest or seemingly unrelated issue or symptom that chiropractic care can alleviate? So first thing, a disclaimer, chiropractic doesn't really alleviate any symptoms. Chiropractic puts the body into a state of balance. And when a body's in a state of balance, things can happen. Sometimes really good things can happen. So this reminds me of the story, and there's probably odder stories, but this story, I was working down at Bigby Chiropractic in Lexington. I was there for about 6 years. I was a year or two into working there, and big busy practice, and a lot of insurance people. We saw a lot of people and whatever. So this one lady came in, and her husband started coming after her, but this lady came in, your typical chiropractic person. Back pain, sciatica, miserable, the whole 9 yards. I remember her still to this day. Super nice lady. And so we put her on a plan of care. We're seeing her frequently, 2 or 3 times a week to start. And, shortly into care, she was feeling better. Like back pain, it took a little while, but her back pain was better, sciatica was better, all that stuff. Because again, when you put a body into balance, it just does better. So, but we do recommend, and I still recommend, even once you feel better, you should still get care to strengthen and stabilize and optimize how your body works. So we're a couple of months into Karen. She's feeling great. And then there's a little sticky note on her travel card. It says, private consult, private room. So I forget which one of us, either me or Jason Mubarak or Dr. Bigby, one of us went in. I forget who. It might have been me. I don't remember. But go in, and we're like, whoever went in is like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, well, I'm doing great with care, but I have a question. Like, can this impact fertility? And we're like, well, yeah, when the body works better, the body just works better and things can happen. She's like, well, yeah, because I'm pregnant. And we're like, well, that's congratulations. And she's like, no, you don't realize, like, we've been doing fertility treatment for 10 years. She was older, like, she was in her probably early 40s, not older in childbearing age. She was late 30s, early 40s. And she was like, we've spent, $50,000 on fertility treatments that none of it worked. And they just gave up, and they said, you're just going to have to just resolve yourself to the fact that you're never going to get pregnant. And she's like, but here I am pregnant. It's like, how does that happen? And we're like, well, we showed her the the nerves that go to the pelvis also go to the reproductive organs. And if those organs work better, it's very possible. So that was probably the oddest thing. And it was, she stayed under care for a long time, had a baby, maybe had another one, I don't know. But that was a pretty cool thing because she came in for back pain, and chiropractic changed her life far beyond getting rid of her back pain. So I would say that's probably the oddest thing. There's other things if I can think. I'm going to leave this sticky note in my pile because there's probably other things that I can think of. So anyways, those are a few questions that I got, and I want to just answer some of them. We'll probably cut these up into some short videos and post them on Facebook. We'll post them all over social media. So anyways, if you have any questions, feel free. Shoot me a message. Respond to this video on Facebook. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about how chiropractic can help you improve your life and take you to another level of health and vitality. So this is Dr. Mike Aaron, Foothills Chiropractic. Wish us luck this weekend on the lacrosse field. Should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So hope you all have something fun planned for the weekend too. And I'll be jumping on another one of these sometime next week. Probably back to some more like content stuff as opposed to answering questions. But I got a list of questions that I'll eventually get back to. So anyways, we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks for watching.